The air in the courtroom hung heavy, thick with a tension that mirrored the knot of dread in Isaiah's stomach. Accused of a robbery he didn't commit, he watched the judge, a man with steely eyes and a thin mouth, sift through the evidence. It was flimsy at best, an eyewitness who thought she saw a tall figure in a hoodie, a recovered watch that could belong to anyone, and the undeniable fact that Isaiah fit the vague description. Isaiah's lawyer, a young woman with fire in her eyes, argued tirelessly. She pointed out the inconsistencies in the eyewitness testimony, the lack of concrete evidence linking Isaiah to the crime scene, the inherent bias of judging a person based on their race and build. But with each rebuttal, the judge's frown deepened. The verdict was a hammer blow. Guilty. The word echoed in the sterile room, stealing Isaiah's breath. The judge's reasoning, a chilling justification for a flawed conviction. While the evidence may not be ironclad, Mr. Jackson's presence in the vicinity during the crime and his appearance raised suspicion. The unspoken implication hung heavy: a black man in the wrong place at the wrong time was automatically suspect. Despair threatened to consume Isaiah, years stolen before him for a crime he didn't commit. But amidst the crushing weight of injustice, a spark ignited. He wouldn't let this break him. He clung to the unwavering belief in his innocence, a lifeline in a churning sea of doubt. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Isaiah refused to be a statistic. He became a model prisoner, focusing on his education, nurturing a sliver of hope that one day, the truth would come to light. He wrote letters, bombarding every legal aid organization he could find. Then, a glimmer of hope. A new lawyer, renowned for taking on wrongful conviction cases, agreed to take Isaiah's case. With meticulous research, they unearthed a security camera footage from a nearby store, placing Isaiah miles away from the crime scene at the time of the robbery. The retrial was a grueling battle. But this time, with undeniable evidence, the scales of justice tipped. The verdict: not guilty. The words washed over Isaiah, a cleansing wave erasing years of injustice. Walking out of the courtroom, a free man, Isaiah carried the weight of a stolen past. Isaiah's release sent shockwaves through the city. News outlets clamored for his story, a stark reminder of the fallibility of the justice system. The public outcry was deafening, demanding accountability for the wrongful conviction. The spotlight fell on Judge Rutherford, his once impeccable reputation tarnished. The weight of public scrutiny and mounting investigations proved too much. Forced into retirement, Rutherford retreated into a secluded life, haunted by the ghost of Isaiah's case. Meanwhile, a new judge, a champion of criminal justice reform, was appointed to re-examine the evidence. This judge, a woman named Davis, wasn't content with just overturning the verdict. She delved deeper, determined to expose the cracks in the system that allowed prejudice to cloud judgment. Judge Davis's investigation unearthed a shocking truth. The original arresting officer, pressured by quotas and implicit bias, had ignored leads pointing to a known offender who vaguely resembled Isaiah. The evidence, intentionally buried, perfectly matched the details revealed in the security footage. The officer, facing disciplinary action and potential criminal charges, became a pariah within the department. With the truth laid bare, the city moved to compensate Isaiah. It wasn't enough to erase the stolen years, but it offered a measure of justice. The most dramatic consequence, however, awaited Judge Rutherford. Based on Judge Davis's findings, a warrant was issued for his arrest. The image of the once powerful judge, led away in handcuffs, dominated the news cycle. It served as a stark symbol: even those entrusted with upholding the law could be held accountable for their actions. Isaiah, watching the news unfold from his newly rented apartment, felt a bittersweet mix of emotions. The sight of Rutherford in handcuffs wasn't a source of pleasure, but it did represent a form of closure. His story became a rallying cry, a testament to the enduring power of truth and the fight against prejudice within the very halls of justice. Freedom, while a long-awaited melody, held a discordant note for Isaiah. The stolen years gnawed at him, a phantom limb constantly reminding him of what could have been. He wasn't bitter, not entirely. The ordeal had forged a steely resolve within him, a determination to dismantle the system that had failed him so spectacularly. The Isaiah Jackson Legal Aid Foundation, funded by his compensation and bolstered by a wave of public support, became his weapon. He surrounded himself with a team of passionate lawyers, each with their own fire ignited by injustices witnessed. Sarah Sharma, his tenacious lead attorney during the retrial, became the foundation's legal director, her sharp mind and fiery spirit a perfect complement to Isaiah's quiet strength. Their first case was a baptism by fire. A young Latina woman, Maria Sanchez, stood accused of arson, the burning of a local factory deemed a hate crime. The evidence, as in Isaiah's case, was flimsy, a witness placing her vaguely near the scene and a history of activism against the factory's environmental violations. The stench of prejudice hung heavy in the air. Isaiah saw his own story reflected in Maria's terrified eyes. "We'll fight for you, Maria," he promised, his voice firm, a beacon in the storm of fear she faced. The foundation's resources were stretched thin, but they wouldn't back down. Sarah, with the tenacity of a bulldog, unearthed crucial evidence, a security camera malfunction at the factory at the time of the fire. A disgruntled former employee with a gambling debt and a motive, and a trail of social media posts hinting at the employee's desire to pin the blame on an outside agitator. The courtroom became a battleground. The prosecution, fueled by public outrage over the fire, painted Maria as a dangerous radical. Sarah, in her closing statement, challenged the jury to see beyond the narrative and the fear-mongering. "Don't let prejudice cloud your judgment," she implored, "look at the facts, not the color of her skin or the passion in her voice." The jury deliberated for what felt like an eternity. When they finally returned, a collective sigh rippled through the courtroom. "Not guilty." The words were a balm to Isaiah's soul, a victory not just for Maria but for every wrongly accused individual. The foundation's success resonated through the city. Each victory chipped away at the system's inherent bias, a testament to the power of dedicated legal representation and public awareness. Isaiah, however, knew legislative reform was crucial. He partnered with community activists and sympathetic politicians, pushing for changes in policy. He spoke at rallies, his calm, measured voice cutting through the noise, his story a stark reminder of the consequences of a flawed system. He lobbied for stricter guidelines for witness identification, mandatory training on racial profiling for law enforcement, and an independent body to review wrongful conviction cases. The road to reform was long and arduous. Opponents, clinging to outdated notions of law and order, fought back tooth and nail. But Isaiah persevered, fueled by a quiet determination and the chorus of voices behind him. He became a symbol of hope, a living testament to the possibility of change.